they're $5. I was like, that's all I care about.
Next week will be
whoever it is,
I call this meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. Will the Vice President of Operations call?
Barrientos, Bassam, Beavers, Burton, Kale, Cato, Cheek, DeLuca, DePersia, Farnham, Galarza, Golding, Graham, Hall, Ivy, Johnson, Kilgrove, Little, Lockie, Marbley here, McGarry, Moore, here. Okay. Marbley, here. Patel, Powell, Rumshadani, Ramirez, Sander, Saxena, Skate, Stephon, Spears, Street, Teeter, Derion, Shrivel, Van Brunt, Wesley, Weston, Young.
If there are no objections or corrections, we'll approve the minutes from last week's meeting as distributed. The floor is now open for any students that wish to speak before the body.
Hello everyone, my name is Ramsey Brown and I serve as the president of the Alabama chapter of Capital Opportunity Incorporated. And I just personally thank you all for allowing us to come here and present about our fall 2019 SAFA allocation. So our budget was denied for the fall, and what happened was our SAFA committee they graduated, so we didn't really know had a miscommunication on the date that the Saturday hearing was due, so I believe it was due that Friday, and we thought it was due that following Monday, and so whenever we got on there to check our budget, it was denied. And so, you know, over with the Jared, we talked about our budget.
Alright, thank you again. My name is Jared. I currently serve as a exchequer, also the treasurer for the Alabama chapter capital side. So for our staff, we had a few things, such as the first one would be our conference registration, which is based on C. Riley Wilson, and really that's just a conference to do with leadership, teamwork and skills. It gives just a knowledge for the new rules that are coming for our new academic year, as well as just to help the chapter run smoothly. And so we asked for $1,000 for that, and that really just deals with registration for everybody to go to this conference. The next thing is our sexual awareness program, which basically kept outside. That's one of the things that they hold for each chapter nationally have to have a sexual awareness program built in. So we would ask one of Alan Thomas, who's a nurse practitioner in Little Rock, to come and just give information to the UCA student body about sexual awareness. And this event would just call for supplies, as well as demonstration flyers and stuff just to get the word out as well. So we asked for the speaker for $300, and for marketing to be $30. Next, we got Boys to Men, which program Alabama holds annually. So that's just to bring young men out and just teach interview skills, as well as just proper attire and just life skills as well, just to deal with everyday things and bumps and roads you may have within your life. So for the speaker, we ask for $300, and for marketing, we ask for $30, just to get the word out to them. Next, we have our game night, which really is just to get the community, not just the Greek community, but UCA community in general, together. And the bond really over just some board games. So we asked for DJ, and that'll be $300. And then for the flyers, we'll just get the word out, and so for a strong support system to come. And advertising $30 on that. Next would be the Meet the Noobs. Basically, this is an event to branch out to the UCA community as well, and just to present our chapter, chapter outside to the UCA community, and just connect and network with all the students on campus. And so we really just asked for $300 for a speaker, as well as $30 for flyers as well. And lastly, we have movie night, and it's a social event. So the flyers will just give us a way to promote our event and just give all the information that we need for movie night, such as where it is, what time, and the movie we will be playing. So all we ask is $30 for advertising as well. So much.
Thank you all very much. So now, since you've kind of presented your case for appeal, it's up to a member of this body, if they so choose in new business, to make a motion one way or the other to approve the appeal or deny the appeal if they take no action. So you all, if you want to come back, you are more than welcome to sit in, but we do have the rest of our agenda to get through, and we'll be notified of the decision of the body.
It's not an appeal, it's just on the form.
Oh.
So.
Yeah. Senator Abbey.
May I ask a question?
Sure.
So what is the total amount that you're asking? Okay, thank you.
Senator Sanders.
So first, is the conference required?
Yes, ma'am.
And then secondly, all of the speakers on each event, are those just like speaking fees or stuff?
Yes, yes, yes.
Any other questions? Senator Van Brunt.
So you told her what you said was 3,060. Okay. You told us the conference you go to, sexual awareness speaker, your Voice to Men, your game night, your region to campus, and your movie night. I told those up, and I think it was 2,350. Okay. So is that your total budget, or was it you stick with the 3,000?
No, but
2,350. Okay. I just.
What other questions do you have? Thank you all.
Thank you.
We have no presenters this evening, so I will go into my report. So thank you to everybody that attended the final presidential town hall. Big success, lots of good questions, good conversation that came out of that with the Office of Group Life. Thank you also to everyone last Tuesday that attended the campus talk. A lot of really good information from the president and Ms. Newton. So now lots of the decisions for things that they talked about go to the board in May to vote on for the next academic year. So going over Sexual Assault Awareness Month, the activities for this week. So tomorrow and Wednesday from 11 to 2 in the Student Center lobby, they will be working on a monument quilt. And you can tell me more details on that, Michelle, other than maybe what I have.
Well, it's just patches of material, and you can write a story or a quote or anything that you would like to, and then eventually it's going to be sold and publicly and faculty and consumer science and
Awesome. As well on the 10th at 7:30, so Wednesday night, they are doing Take Back the Night in the Carmichael Courtyard, so feel free to attend that if you're also available. And then this Friday at 1:45 on the steps of Old Main is IFC's Walk a Mile in Her Shoes. So those are the major events that are going on this week for Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so attend them if you have some time in it. Elections and voting. So as you all know, voting starts this week. So the ballot will open on voting booth in OrgSync at midnight on Wednesday the 10th and will close at 4 p.m. on Friday the 12th. The election results meeting is at 5 p.m. on Friday the 12th. It will be here in our chambers. So if you're a candidate, please come if you want. Not required, but if you want to immediately know the results, please come. And then as well as any of you senators that just want to be here to hear the election results or have constituents that would want to be made aware, that'll be at 5 p.m. on Friday in this room. Next week, so we didn't have any presenters tonight, but we are going to have quite a few next Monday, so I want you all to be prepared that there will be lots of presenters. Mr. Jim Neighbors, the general manager of Aramark, is coming to do a final presentation on an update on everything Aramark's doing, as well as what things are going to look like going into the summer for them, as well as into the next academic year. Some conversations, which I've gotten a little bit of a taste of from Senator Kale and Vice President Burton over the course of the semester. Additionally, this is tentative, but Mr. Richard Hammond, our Director of Campus Recreation, is supposed to be coming to give an update on the ROPES Challenge course that is being added to campus. That's tentative because he is hoping that the architect will have final drawings and everything on what that's going to look like to him by then. But if not, then he's going to come on the 22nd and present for 10 minutes to give y'all, a snapshot of what this ROPES Challenge course is going to look like, since SGA was a strong supporter of that. Additionally, we have several senators that are going to be doing different presentations. So we have a couple of senators, Senators Scaife and Graham, that will be doing a presentation on the Child Care on Campus initiative and provide you all with an update on how that looks, as well as Senators Galarza, Ramchandani, Vice President McGarity, and there's probably others that I'm forgetting, I'm sorry, over the gazebo project and kind of what the status is of that project as well. So lots of big things coming, so just please be prepared for quite a few presenters next Monday in Senate and come with questions if you have them. So with that, that is my report. What questions do you have? Vice President McGarry.
Hi everyone. So the end of year banquet is happening on April 22nd at 6 p.m. The dress code is business professional, and you can still you bring up to 2S, so we got some notes on the sheet, just make sure you can edit that if it's changed. And then we should not be moving before the banquet as at 5 p.m. still in Neighbors. I have the menu for the banquet. So we'll be having pesto flank steak, grilled salmon and rock and herb sauce, eggplant parmesan, roasted red potatoes, grilled honey glazed carrots, homemade rolls with butter, lemon berry cake, and a cheesecake. And then mental health speaker. Joshua Riverdale is speaking in Julian Health Center Auditorium on Thursday, April 18th at 7 p.m. It's in room 141. Please all come. We allocated funds as an SGA for this to come, so please be there. He's a writer for Huffington Post, and he's given presentations all across the nation at different colleges. His father committed suicide when he was younger, and Joshua Riverdale suffered from depression in college, so he has experience on the topic. He'll be speaking on how to live mentally well in college. We are co-sponsoring the event with Active Minds and Psychological Society at UCA. So please come to the event. If you have a friend that could benefit from this event, please let them know. And then Senator Patel will be giving a gazebo update during Senator Persia's reports, and we'll give us a report to Senator Hall for Pro.
This tip came from Vice President Burton, and it says, when wanting to do further discussion and research on the topic, don't forget you can refer it back to a committee.
What questions do you have for Vice President McGarity or Senator Hall? Senator Ramirez?
What is the location of the banquet?
It's in the McCaslin Ballroom.
What other questions do you have? Vice President Martin?
All right, good people, hello. So, first point on there is Senator of the Month. Just want you all to remember that April is cut short because we have our end of the year banquet on the 22nd. So that means next week will be the last time that you all, well, Sunday night is the last time you all can submit your nominations for Senator of the Month for April. So that person can be recognized at the next Senate meeting on April the 15th. And then don't forget about the incentive with President Davis on April 23rd. Next we have the SGA Administrator / Ally of the Year voting award. So you have a small little square piece of paper with 3 names. So thank you to everybody who submitted a nomination of an administrator. And so we came to our exec meeting on Friday, discussed everything and everyone in the submission that you all gave. And so we came up with these 3 people. And so you also have a sheet in your stack of papers that has each of their names, their positions with the university, and what they have done for SGA. And so you all can be a little bit more knowledgeable when you're selecting the person that you want to represent for this award. So with that being said, select you one name, and then just have it submitted back to me by Friday. This Friday, April the 12th, by noon. Okay. The reason why the deadline is so strict and hard put into place is because we have to order the awards and everything, make sure they're back in time and everything for Mr. Stanley. So if you can't find them, you can find them on my door, put them in my mailbox. Don't put your name on here, but make sure you give them back to me, okay, by Friday. Next, we have the Senate Awards, which I also do on Friday, April the 12th, at the same exact time. So that's this paper right here. That has best dressed, most popular, most funny, and most likely to be the next U.S. president. So those are all great awards. So make sure you write someone's name on here that you want to nominate for this award. And then we have multiple nominations. The PR committee will go ahead and vote on those and get those back to you. And everything will be announced at the Senate banquet, end of the year banquet, on the 22nd. And also, we have another handout in your stack of papers that lists out the 3 prestigious awards in a sense. And so you have the Larry Bryant Senator of the Year Award, Dave Dennis Diplomat of the Year Award, and Kelly L. Ernstein, which is a new award that we just created this year. So make sure the same way that you're voting and you're reading to be more knowledgeable about your administrator, read these as well so you can be more knowledgeable about who you want to select for these 3 as well, okay? And I forgot to add those on here, so just make sure you include those. Or maybe I can make a link on Google Form. So I'll make a link through Google Form. Y'all can submit these 3 names via a link and it'll be in the meetings, okay? The next one we have is the social media giveaway. So with all this election stuff going on, and with voting coming up, we want to incentivize our students a little bit. And so with that being said, we'll have a basket to give away. And so on social media this week, we're pubbing, and we're saying you need to follow the UCASGA page. You should share and repost the flyer that we're pubbing out. And then thirdly, tag 3 friends. So with that being said, the PR committee get all those results as well, and then we'll vote upon those this week. And then that person will win the basket. Should we tell them what's in the basket? Okay, y'all ready? I need excitement. Are y'all ready?
Let's go!
Yeah. So you're gonna have an SAB cup in here, a nice little glass mug, ceramic type material. And yeah, see, I need that. And you'll have a T-shirt in there. You have some SGA swag, and then maybe an item from the bookstore or so. And then drum roll a little bit. You'll have 2 free tickets to the Miguel concert as well. Compliments of SAB. So make sure you tell them thank you when you see them. And we'll be tagging on our social media as well to give them their due props for everything. Election booth volunteers. So thank you all for signing up. Those who are volunteering, I sent you all an email. So make sure you check that to remind you all about your commitment this week. And the election booth will open at 10 a.m. every day except for Wednesday. It opens at 11 because we're missing that first person for the first shift, which is fine. But if you're available that day, feel free to let me know so we can open it up on time if you all are available. The candidate platform. So just to bring it to you all's attention, if you're running, you should have received an email from Taylor Beaver, so thank you for sending that out for me. But the platform is basically an opportunity for you all to be able to come out and speak to the student body on an equal and fair level playing field. So if you have time tomorrow, it's not required, but if you want to come out and speak, give you a 2-minute introduction, give the students a chance to kind of ask you questions and see what your intents are for your position, then definitely come out and kind of speak, kind of mix them in a little bit if you're free. It'll be in the Amphitheater Smart X Sphere, so at 140. And lastly, I want to put it on your radar. So donuts for finals. Last semester we did this and it was a hit. So we're gonna redo it again this semester. And we figured out that most of our traffic comes on Mondays and Tuesdays. So by then finals start slowing down, people start going home. And it's a little harder to hand out donuts. So on Monday the 29th and Tuesday the 30th, we'll be handing out donuts from 7:30 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. or until we run out. So make sure you come snack your donut. I have a volunteer sheet next week for you all to sign up if you're available, and that's about all I have for you.
What questions do you have for Vice President Martley? Senator Kilgore?
What time and where is the President Davis Incentive?
So it's going to be Tuesday, April 23rd, day after the banquet. It's going to be at 6 o'clock p.m. And it's going to be in the Student Center Room 203B.
Awesome, thank you.
What other questions do you have? Vice President Burton?
Awesome. Hope you're all well. Next week I'll have a more holistic kind of end of year financial review. Currently, the only thing on the agenda for me is this open forum inquiry from Capitol Design. So essentially, this is of course a couple of weeks after the deadline for appeals has expired, and it wasn't there was no grounds for appeal or eligibility for appeal, but they do have an opportunity, of course, to speak on open forum and seek anything from SGA just like anyone else does. So it's up to us, obviously, someone from this body, if we decide or if you decide to make a motion to do any action with it. But that's all I have on it. So treat it as another sample kind of conversation adjacent.
What questions do you have for Vice President Burton?
Yes, and Dr. Target has our leadership quote.
Okay, we're gonna start the discussion with a little trivia. You guys like to play trivia? Love it. A little bit of sports trivia. Hands up, don't yell. Okay. There's two questions. First thing, what's the big sporting event that's happening tonight? Hands up.
It's the NCAA.
You.
Okay, I'll do it.
No.
It's the NCAA championship basketball tournament.
The NCAA basketball tournament. Good. Okay, so that's the setup. Now the real trivia question is, who knows which university has won the most men's Division I NCAA basketball championships? Okay, you already answered, so I'm going to go to Isaiah.
Awesome. I believe it was Kansas.
It's not Auburn, it's not Kansas. Okay, I'm going to go to Senator Therian.
Kentucky.
Not Kentucky.
Duke.
Not Duke.
UCLA.
It is UCLA. UCLA have won more championships than anybody else, including between 1964 and 1975, 10 NCAA championships out of 12 years. Okay, and the coach of that team was a famous one of the most famous, probably the most famous basketball coach of all time. His name is John Wooden. Okay, and John Wooden's written extensively about leadership. Okay, and I thought that would be appropriate to talk about, given the, what's going on tonight. And this is something that resonates with me and anybody that's been in my class, and there are at least two. How many of you have been in my, 1, 2, you'll say, yeah, I can see why he likes that. John Wooden says, quote, "You will find that success and attention to details, the smallest details, usually go hand in hand." Can you verify that this is something that works for me? Okay, so John Wooden was famous. He used to, on the first day of basketball practice, teach his players how to put on their socks. Why do you think that's important? Okay, blisters, exactly right. Because if your players have a little bit of blisters on their feet, how well are they going to be doing with their drills? They're not going to be able to drill well. They're not going to be able to practice well. The practices will be shorter, meaning practices are going to be missed. And how well are they going to be ready for their first game and the next game? They're not. So that is just one example about attention to details. Now, I'm gonna embarrass Ms. Shar here a little bit. Now, when we do that I am the walrus thing at the beginning of the year, where we some of us are lions and tigers and bears or whatever, right? Miss Shar is I think a lion, right? But the eagles, right? How many of us were eagles? That's the one that's the attention to detail, right? Miss Shar says that she's a lion, but how many of you have received an email, from Miss Shar about some event or something that's coming up? Have you noticed how meticulous the details are? And if you follow her advice, those events usually come out pretty successful because she thinks of everything, the smallest details. Okay, I like to teach this because little details matter. One of the things that if you're picking science, I teach my students that they have to have all the details, including units, when they're writing something down. Don't take for granted the units, because if you don't pay attention, something like this, NASA, about 15 years ago, made a satellite to go to Mars, and then 2 teams of engineers were sloppy with things like units, and they lost a, $500 million satellite went tumbling off into space and didn't do its job because of attention to detail. Okay? So for you, I want you to think about details, and I want you to think about setting the bar high for those. And if you do that, your committee members will follow suit. So they do live the way you want them to live and do what you model behavior that you expect. All right. That's it.
What questions do you have for Vice President Burton or Dr. Martin? Senator Durion?
Dr. Parker, will you answer the question?
I will, yes.
How's that bracket doing now?
People want to know your bracket.
All right.
Last time I
So
checked,
he
you were
was
16 for 16.
Yes, last time we were in this room, we were talking, and on the CBS Sports game, there's just several million that submitted. I rose up to 680th in the country, but then things started. There's a famous "what goes up must come down." So yeah, I'm out. I'm out. I'm done now. But thank you for asking.
Attention, what other questions do you have? Okay, we'll go into standing committee reports, academic affairs, Senator Ozzie.
So, we sent out our academic advising survey this morning. If you have time, take it. It's just gonna ask kind of what it is that you feel about different parts of advising, the time of registration, different things. Yeah, that's pretty much all I have.
What questions do you have for Senator Ozzie? Internal affairs, Senator Watkins.
Okay, we are presenting a previous notice today. It'll be in the minutes, but I'll talk about it. Basically, following off of last Senate meeting pertaining to the executive board and their obligations during election time.
What questions do you have for Senator Watkins? Housing and Food Services, Senator Kayla.
All right, today we met and we discussed maybe doing hot dogs instead of hamburgers because it might rain and it's easier to cook hot dogs and less cost effective and a bunch of other stuff. So, but more importantly, food service worker cookout is this Wednesday at 5:30 to 6:30 at the Alumni Pavilion, which is on the corner of campus. And please sign the card if you haven't. It's I think in Vice President Gary's office still. So please sign it if you haven't. It's a very big deal, and like I want the service workers to know that we as we should because they work hard. So that's it.
What questions do you have for Senator Kale? Diversity Committee, Senator Ramirez.
Hello, everyone. Alrighty, so tomorrow is the Human Library Project, which is from 1:40 to 4 o'clock on the second floor of Tourism Library. Why don't you check out and understand an individual's perspective, especially when it comes to diversity. And so I'm going to ask that you senators go and get yourselves much more informed, get to know each other and the community as well. Second, I better see every single one of you on Wednesday for International Diversity Food Night. Yeah, free food and entertainment, right? So it's happening in the Student Center Ballroom from 5 p.m. to 7 p.m. And it should be a good time. So if y'all just are hungry, bring your hungry bellies over to the International Diversity Food Night. So with that, that's the end of my report.
What questions do you have for Senator Ramirez? Student Fee Advisory Committee. Oh, I'm sorry. Senator Story.
Would it be possible
access the room before 4:45?
Yes, so, my diversity committee is gonna be there at 4 o'clock to start setting up and to get ready for the event, and you're welcome to be there before 4:45. I asked all organizations to be there by 4:45, so that at 5 o'clock we can open the doors and let everybody who's hungry come in and eat some food.
What other questions do you have? Student Fee Advisory Committee, Senator Peter.
Evening, Senators. The most wonderful time of year is over, well, almost over. So we had our last fee hearing, which was the student success fee / writing and retention fee. It went great. There's a little gray area, but we're looking into that. We got email back from Mr. Owens with all our other SFAC information, since we're not gonna be able to have this hearing. Our committee, they'll be sent out to you this afternoon. Not only that, we will be having our deliberations next Sunday and pumping out SFAC report to try to get that in for the end of the semester.
What questions do you have for Senator Teeter? We'll go into ad hoc committee reports. Fair Advocacy Group, Senator Kilgore.
Alright, so in front of you in your stack of papers, you should have a paper entitled Constitutional Amendment Summaries 2019. So Fair Advocacy Group is going to present this in new business for ratification or adoption. This is basically our legislative guide, which should have every single proposed amendment that's going to be on the ballot next week for election, or this week, I guess, man, it's coming up. And so this is so students can, this is going to be like at the top before students vote, and it gives it a popular name and then a little summary so they don't have to like read the whole thing, and so they can be better informed about what they're voting on. So if you see any problems with this, friendly amendments, or if you think we've left something out, or the language is vague or misleading, unclear, etc., we can work on some amendments and friendly amendments in your business. So thank you. That's what we have.
What questions do you have for Senator Kilgore? Community engagement, Senator Sander.
Hello. We thought so it's over, but I have t-shirts. And I love t-shirts. So if you want a t-shirt, please take one. And also still have informational cards and buttons, so they look really good.
What questions do you have for Senator Sander? Student resources, Senator DePersia.
I don't have much of an update, so stay tuned for next week, and then I'd like to yield the rest of my time to Senator Patel.
Alright, so I'm going to Dr. Yossi Moore, this past Friday, and Mr. Lawrence. So I updated Ms. Dr. Yossi Moore, who sits on who's the chair of the Police Department League. Updated on what we're going to do for the gazebo, and she suggested having the post for and then the design of the gazebo. It was similar to the 1920s gate that was out at UCA. And then I took that to Mr. Lawrence, and Mr. Lawrence said that he can have a quote from me, as in where every other detail of everything was gonna, if we UC built it, he had a detailed quote for us on the 19th, and I'm gonna visit them and get the thing. But that's just a bit further than gazebo, and I was able to find.
What questions do you have for Senators DePersia or Patel? Sustainability, Senator Spears.
So we finished compiling the information from the physical plant regarding all the trash cans and recycling bins on campus. If you guys still have any input, just don't hesitate to let me know. We'll be sending that out this week to the physical plant. And then we are starting to go over and assign topics for the committee to find out new goals that either the committee had not gotten to do or would like to see further throughout throughout the summer intersection with the exec board or without the next years of SGA throughout. And so we'll be looking at different facets of sustainability and new projects that may, unfortunately, don't have time to be done the rest of this semester, but definitely could be done in the following semester. So if you guys have any ideas of that as well, hit me up or anybody in the committee as well. And so, and just kind of be advised, we will probably have an Earth Day resolution because April 22nd is our last Senate meeting, and it also just happens to fall on Earth Day. So we will have an Earth Day resolution ready for them. That should be it.
What questions do you have for Senator Spears? We'll go into university committee reports. Are there any university committee reports? Senator Little.
So
So, the UCA Core Council met last Tuesday during the exit period. It was a very short meeting. The main topic that we discussed was about the FYS survey that was submitted about a month ago. It went very well so far. We've received over 200 responses from students, which is a great number, better than we initiated at first. So after the surveys have been accounted for and recorded, we will be receiving a package response that we'll be discussing in the fall 2019 semester as a council, if I'm still a part of that council, to decide whether if we should initiate that to better the FYS program at UCA.
Other university committee reports? So mine is the publication board. So because we're nearing the end of the spring semester, it is now time for our 3 publications to select editors for the fall semester. So they met last Thursday during next period and selected the editors for the scroll for next year. And they are meeting tomorrow during next period, but I have a prior commitment with Rotaract International and World Fest because they prefer to paw me in the face. So if there is someone that is available during next period and can sit in on the publication board meeting tomorrow, they will be discussing applicants for the editor positions for the Echo. So if you are available, please let me know pretty quickly so that I can notify the chair of the so I can notify the chair that you'll be in attendance. Other university committee reports.
I actually have a question about yours.
Yes, sir.
So when it comes down to the publication board, during the interviews, have they been notified or has a budget been approved for them to be paid?
No.
So they're still under the assumption that these would now become volunteer positions?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. Other questions or other university committee reports? Do we have any unfinished business? Any new business? Senator Kilgore.
I move that the UCASGA ratify the Bear Advocacy Group 2019 legislative guide.
Second.
It has been moved and seconded that the UCASGA ratify the Bear Advocacy Group's 2019 legislative guide. Discussion on the motion, Senator Kilgore.
Yes, so I'm actually not sure like standard operating procedure for this since it's kind of new. Should I read it, all of it, or?
I mean, I think that, yeah, just go ahead.
Okay, all right. So, the GPA for the executive board, which is Article 3, Section 1, Letter A. This amendment would raise the GPA requirement for the executive board from 2.50 to 2.75. The election rules committee, Article 4, Section 3. This amendment would eliminate the election committee and consolidate its responsibilities in the election rules committee if passed. Executive president's appointment power, Article 5, Section 4, Letter C. This amendment would eliminate the SGA executive president's ability to appoint members to Senate in place of special elections in the appointment committee if passed. Joint campaigning, Article 3, Section 4, Letter B. This proposed amendment would allow the option for candidates running for the offices of class president and vice president to run a joint campaign. Executive board scholarship clause, Article 5, Section 9, Letter E. This amendment proposes that in the event that an executive officer resigns before their term is complete, they forfeit the remainder of their scholarship and their successor receives a prorated amount. Executive officer position requirements, Article 3, Section 1, Letter D. This proposed amendment would require that any candidate running for executive office be able to serve in their position for 1 full academic year if elected. Gender neutral language, Article 4, Sections 1, 2, and 4. This amendment removes gendered pronouns, he, him, and she, her, and replaces them with gender neutral pronouns, they, and them. Oath of office for SGA senators, Article 5. This would mandate individuals selected in elections or appointed to a position in SGA to take an oath of office before assuming their position. Qualifications for members, Article 3, Section 1, Letter B. This amendment mandates that all candidates running for an SGA office that is not specific to the graduate student representative position must be classified as an undergraduate student. And finally, our requirements for graduate students, Article 3, Section 1, Letter C. This amendment will exempt graduate students from the 12-hour qualification required to run for SGA, as most graduate students do not enroll more than 9 hours. So, kind of explained what this was going to be in my report, but if you see any glaring issues, especially if you believe the language is like biased or misleading or unfair in some way, I definitely want your input to speak up before we vote. So, that's all I have with that.
Further discussion on the motion? Vice President Gary?
For the GPA for the executive board, I'd like to make a friendly amendment to add 2 zeros after the 0 for 2.5 and 2.75 because in Constitution we have, I guess, 2.500 for each. Sorry, actually, I just 1 0 after 2.50 and then 1 0 after 5 to make it consistent with Constitution.
Are there any objections? Friendly amendment passes. Further discussion on the motion? Senator Taylor?
2 friendly amendments. Under joint campaigning, capitalize the letters just for consistency, as well as gender neutral language when it says Article 4, where that's for everyone else for consistency as well.
Any objections to auto friendly amendment? Okay, both friendly amendments pass. Senator Jeter?
A friendly amendment. Excuse me. I have a friendly amendment under the hour requirements for graduate students. I still feel that the A needs to be capitalized and amended.
Any objections to that amendment? Okay, amendment passes. Senator Abbey?
Under the oath of office for SGA senators, I think we need to add the word amendment after this, just for consistency's sake.
Any objection to that friendly amendment? Okay, friendly amendment passes. Further discussion on the motion? Senator Wesley?
For the consistency sake thing, the joint campaigning and the executive offer position requirement, both say this proposed amendment instead of this amendment. And then also the oath of office, oh wait, you just said that, sorry. I was going to also do a point of information. Maybe this is just me, the executive officer position requirement, is that not already being, like, I don't get what's being outlined, I guess.
For which one, I'm sorry?
It says that like the executive officer position requirement says that they will be able to serve the whole year elected. Is that not?
So currently, there's no language in the Constitution that dictates that if you're elected to an executive office that you have to serve for a full academic year. I think it's just assumed. This is just to further clarify that it's an expectation that if you are elected in the spring semester to fill one of these 4 positions, that you will serve until the following spring semester. Further discussion on the motion?
Motion to approve by unanimous consent.
Motion passes. Is there any other new business? Senator Watkins.
In accordance with the SGA Constitution and SGA Special Rules of Order, notice is hereby given that the following Constitution bylaw amendment will be considered at the next regularly scheduled SGA meeting, April 15th. So this is Article 4, Section 3, letter E, and it'll be in the minutes. This is coming from when we took care of the Elections Committee and consolidated their responsibilities into the Election Rules Committee, and this is consolidating some of their responsibilities into the Executive Board and what the Executive Board does, like hosting the rules meeting and things like that.
Is there any more new business? Any announcement?
What happened to the open forum?
That is up to you as members of the body. You have to take action. So if no one takes action, then yeah. Is there any new business? Any more new business? Any announcements? Okay. As a reminder, the publication board is meeting during X period tomorrow. I can't be there, so please let me know if you are free to sit in on interviews for the hiring of the editors for the Echo for next fall, please. Senator Wesley. Bless you, thank you. Any other announcements? Senator Moore, or Vice President Moore.
Can I see the beautiful face of the PR committee after the meeting's over, please? Thanks.
Senator Beavers.
Hello, if the election rules committee would stay after Senate.
Any more announcements? This meeting is adjourned.
Let's go.
Yes.